This, ladies and gentlemen, is what's occurring into the mind of a modern day zombie. Now, let us flip the switch and see what goes on inside his head. Bro, you've deadass been on social media for the past 2 hours. Please stop scrolling. You've been looking at the... Ayo, Virgil, take care of this boy. What you saw in the brief intro is actually not far off what happened to me a few days ago. And it's one of those things that, as someone who's on self-improvement, I never realized I could be susceptible to this type of thing. But long story short, what happened to me was that I was scrolling away until a certain moment where I was realizing that I was just wasting time. I think, what was it? An hour had passed and I was still just scrolling away. And I was thinking, I was telling to myself, yo, you're just mindlessly scrolling. And then I just couldn't stop. That's the thing, is these apps have us on lockdown. You thought the lockdown that was in the was bad. This is nothing compared to it. But before I go any further, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Dan C. You probably haven't heard of me, since I need to get blessed by the algorithm gods before I get any sort of traction. But until then, I'm very grateful that you passed over to my channel. Now, let's talk about social media for a few seconds. They have us on lockdown, man. The way in which they're engineered to keep your fear of missing out on check is incredibly terrifying, alright? These guys, I must respect their ingenuity, but I also realize the amount of power that they have over every single one of us is incredible. So I say this as someone who has able to get over their social media addiction. There was a time in my life, a few months ago actually, just 2 months ago-ish, where I just didn't realize, or I forgot that social media existed. And that's solely because I refused to open it up unless I was either messaging someone, or that's about it. And I was just casually maybe seeing the odd story here and there, but that's about where it begins and ends. Nowadays, I need to be careful, because the second that I tap on a certain app, I'm just, okay, I make sure that I watch every single one of these stories. Okay, on Snapchat, I make sure I answer to everybody and also watch the stories there. YouTube, I make sure that I watch something that I don't even give a about. You've been there where you've watched something that you don't even give a shit about, but you're just watching it because content. That's literally it. And we don't even realize. And this is us, people that are on self-improvement. You clicked on this video probably because you're sick and tired of the social media shit. I am too. We are on self-improvement. Most of the people that you see on a regular basis, they don't care about self-improvement. They're just gonna be like, They are not self-aware. They don't even think that what they're doing is wrong or has any control or effect on their mental health. But if you keep on scrolling onto Instagram, eventually you're gonna get a mental illness. I'm not sure what type of it is, because the variety goes from A to Z, but you are gonna get a type of mental health. So what exactly can we do against it? There is a few tactics that we can implement. Let's actually check through some of them, and you need to implement these things. Right now, you don't just watch another video and then say, oh, I mean, it's been fun, because that's just, okay, you're just mindlessly watching. You're addicted to this very principle. You are subjecting yourself to the exact thing that you're trying to escape. This is your time. This is your signal to do something about it. Step number 1, in the morning, do not go on social media in the morning right away. That is the first sure sign way that you're just gonna end up scrolling for the rest of the day. And I noticed this, the days in which I stay away from it, at least in the very morning, those are the days that I actually don't have that much of an issue with it. If I touch it in the morning, it's over. The rest of the day is just completely unfocused, and in the morning, stay away from it. And one way in which I've tried to get away from this, and it seems to work quite well, is when you have an alarm. Usually you wake up by alarms, generally. If you don't, I'd actually recommend you do, but if you already have an alarm set up, Set it up and put your phone somewhere where you have to walk in order to be able to turn off your alarm. The reason for it is because when you're in bed and comfortable, what's the first thing that I'm gonna do? So, by you interrupting that first flow, you're already allowing yourself to be conscious. You're allowing yourself to be self-aware of this. Step number 1, get away from the phone. Step number 2, get used to the quiet. So, when you're gonna do this, when you're gonna realize that you don't have your phone with you, you're gonna feel a bit icky. Something's gonna be missing because you're not gonna get used to the quiet. You have to be able to get used to this quietness. And one thing that I recommend in order to get used to the quiet is meditation. Now, people don't usually talk about meditation, and I have no idea why I have to go through so many self-improvement videos until I find someone that talks about them. Because meditation is the one thing that keeps you focused on what it is that you're supposed to be doing. And in the meditation's case, you're literally getting used to an environment where nothing's happening, where it's still, where it's quiet. So, if you're having trouble with getting used to the quiet, try meditation. That's going to be a surefire way to train that. The third thing that I'll say is that when you're working, when you're either at the gym, or whether you're practicing a hobby, or whether you're doing XYZ, put your phone on vibration mode. If you're able to put your phone on vibration mode, you're still going to be able to answer the odd person that calls you. Or, if you have something that needs urgent response, you can answer it. But the whole idea is that you're trying to minimize how much exposure you get from these different apps. And if you want to go a step further, put it on do not disturb mode, where you have no vibration, no nothing. This is a bit dangerous because if you do have someone that actually needs your help, that's tough. One thing I'll say is definitely put your phone either on vibration mode or on do not disturb. That's the surefire way that you're not going to get disturbed by it. Now, this is one thing that I highly suggest when you're doing something. When you are working, put your phone face down. Now, this is specifically if you have Snapchat, because guys that created Snapchat are actually smart. What you notice is that with Snapchat, it actually lights up your screen whether you check the phone or not. So it's almost like a notification that forces you to focus up. And when it forces you to look that way, you've instantly lost track of what you were doing. Right there and there, you've lost track. So, put your phone face down, then you're able to have a full session of whatever it is that you're doing. Now, this is all well and good, and some people may think, why would I even want to limit my social media? Honestly, because it's just a time waster. And it is specifically to the people that have the voice in the back of their heads that they could be better. They could be using their time way better. They could be more efficient in what they're doing. They could put their time to much better use. But it's so difficult to stay away from these platforms because of how highly addicting they are. So this isn't for everyone. This is for those that want better. And this is for those that don't want to just end up being fucking zombies on the streets. Because I know that you are better than that.